See, here's the book. It's falling apart. I didn't read it. I keep reading it. It isn't something I read. I'm reading it. I read it every day. Now, that was a commitment that I made on the 21st of October, 1961. Ray Stanford said, if you read that every day, do what I tell you. He said, you can have anything you want. Well, of course, I didn't believe that, and I said I would do it. And I don't know why I did it, because I never did anything that I said I would do up to that point. My word wasn't worth anything. If I said I'd do something, well, probably I wouldn't do it. But for this, I don't know why. And I started, and I've never stopped reading it. And I think we're programmed the wrong way. Like, I have a great library of books here in the studio. I have one in the house. I learned a lesson from Earl Nightingale. I have here a book holder. It holds a book open on my desk. And Earl Nightingale had one sitting on his desk. The first time I met him, it was in 1966. And I spent an hour with him. I asked him, I said, what is that on his desk? He says, what is what? He says, I pointed to it. Well, he says, a book holder. Hold my book open. And I said, why do you have it like that? He says, well, he smiled. He said, I'm going to read that until I understand it. He said, what, the book? No, he said, that page. And I questioned him on it. I said, what do you mean? He quoted something. He said, no amount of reading or memorizing is going to make you successful. It's the understanding and application of wise thoughts that really count. Mm-hmm. So he said, I learned a long time ago that if I kept reading the same thing, I would start to understand and I would start to apply it. I immediately started to look for a book holder. And the secret is to read the same thing over and over and over again. This is a page that was written probably around 1920. It's by Thomas Troward. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He was a great author. It's the creative process in the individual. Starts out, it says, an old saying that order is heaven's first law. That's just, if that's the only thing I read, what does that really mean? You know?
Yeah.
And so I learned a long time ago that if you want to learn, you've got to understand what it is you're reading, and you've got to apply it. And the proof is in the pudding. Are the results there? And if the results aren't there, then you really haven't learned anything. You got to change the results. So it's by their fruit you'll know them. I think Jesus said that. I could be wrong on that. Somebody else might have said it. But that was good advice. By their fruit you'll know them. You can tell by the results they're getting whether they know what they're talking about. And I think the trick is to keep reading it over and over and over. Repetition is the first law of reading. That's how we became programmed. It was repetition. First of all, we're programmed genetically. Little mom's DNA, dad's DNA came together, and that formed the nucleus of us. And 280 days later, then we made our debut on the planet, and the programming then continued by the environment that we're surrounded by. And if you take a look at the results, and almost all welfare recipients are third, fourth, fifth generation welfare recipients. And it continues until someone breaks out of that, which takes a fair amount of strength and understanding and probably criticism.